Hello and good evening. Welcome back to the Exit Light podcast. I am your storyteller, Eli Beals. Without wasting any more time, I present to you the penultimate Part 2 Soulbound. Enjoy. The examination takes an hour and 42 minutes. Everett prints out the report for Dr. Sterling to sign, and then photocopy for the grief-stricken family to blow their collective noses on. The doctor then takes the sheet and heads off to ground level to deliver the results. The rest of the night is uneventful, and the whole time Everett becomes more and more apprehensive about sharing his plan with Olivia. It's not that he's worried she will refuse, it's that he would be effectively using her to do his dirty work for him. He thinks about texting her to warn her of an impending serious discussion about the matter, then discards the notion. He instead turns his thoughts to a more pleasant subject. He thinks of where their next tryst will occur in the night-covered playground that is San Francisco. He's eating a bagel and drinking coffee. He has this day and tomorrow to sort out the rest of his evil plan, which somehow ends up with Olivia's canines in Desmond's throat. It's all that leads up to that point that has him deep in thought. He hears a familiar laugh, and he scans the patio for its source. It's Charlotte and another girl sitting on the other side of the patio. He decides to cause some trouble and walks over to them, cup of coffee in hand, chewing on the last delectable bite of his Asiago bagel. "Hey, Charlotte." She squints up at him. The sun is in her eyes. "Hey, what's your name again?" "Everest, remember?" "Oh, yeah. How are you? Sorry about that last text. Was having a bad day." "Is this your sister?" "Yeah, Maggie, this is Everest. We went on a date from that dating site, you know." Maggie isn't sure she's liking Everett's demeanor very much, and decides he's a total jerk when he says, "Maggie, how's your spleen these days?" "My what?" She whips her head to face her sister, who just shrugs. "The spleen, remember? You ruptured it while falling down a staircase." Charlotte looks uncomfortable. "Oh." A long pause. "Yeah, I'm better now, thanks." "Okay, that's good. Well, have a good day, ladies." The dream pounces on him like a knife-wielding maniac, hiding just around the corner, waiting for him to close his eyes. He's in the cell. The hooded figures appear. The chant begins. His bones attempt to escape from his skin. The pain of it drives him back into that infinitely huge space that expands and expands into nothing forever. He is a pale blur on a velvet black backdrop. He sees Olivia. She is miles and miles away, but he can hear her speaking. It's a language he does not know. It's sharp-sounding and fast, desperate and terrified. Then he is right in front of her. She is nude and covered in strange writing he cannot read. He is not surprised that he is also. Flames burst at her feet and proceed to rise. The seething line of fire creeps a few inches at a time, like a stick of incense, until all that is left of her is ashes. He is choking. Hands are thrusting clumps of hot grit into his face. It coats his mouth, throat, and sinuses. Whoever these cruel hands belong to, he does not know, but they are singing. The sound rises and also descends giving him a sense of auditory vertigo, splitting something in his mind, and he begins to scream. Or is he adding to the chorus as he feels his vocal cords humming with resonance? The cemented ash in his lungs and throat shatters, and he is falling. Everett jolts awake in a cold sweat. Breathing hard and fast, he pulls the sleeves of his shirt up to verify that he is not covered in those markings. Nothing but regular skin, yet the memory of them is most certainly there, even if he cannot see them. Journal entry dated March 5th, 2015. I am certain now that the demon resides on the 6th floor. As I was climbing the stairs, I saw her open the door to that floor and pass by me. We exchanged a brief glance, nothing more. I sensed a darkness about her, and though I tried to hide my reaction when I saw her bangles, I could not suppress my disgust for the mockery she so blatantly displays. She bears the symbols of the divine on her unholy body. It took all of my efforts to smile, and even she did not seem entirely convinced of my act of mere passing cordiality. My cover was almost blown, but no matter. Tomorrow will be the day she meets her end. I watched the street below and saw her walking with a man, possibly another demon or consort, or just another victim of the devil's abhorrent evil. My Lord, thou art in heaven, thy will be done. Blog entry from the San Francisco Watchman, titled, Yesterday's News. It is a sad thing to realize that sensationalism in this country has overstimulated the vicarious and hardened constitutions of the people. Not even 3 weeks ago, an almost daily discovery of the body or bodies of women were being found, strangled to death. The killer, named the Rosary Strangler, has not been found, nor it seems he ever will be. Since the streets have been bereft of these discoveries for a short time, the public interest has waned. I'm sure the authorities are still hot on the case, as it were, but I find this lack of empathy rather disturbing. When it's a celebrity, the entire world mourns their passing, especially if it is something out of the ordinary or scandalous. But when it is a lowly drug addict, or in these cases, alleged prostitutes, nobody really cares. Are these women's lives less valuable than anyone else's, I ask? And I am sad to conclude that yes, they are less than, since consensus is the ruling opinion. Below are hundreds of comments in a forum that degrade into soapbox speeches about the relative value of human life, God, and the sophomoric attacks on the subject of the commenter's intelligence. Some agree, some do not. This is the last public article regarding the case of the Rosary Strangler. They meet on the sidewalk outside of her apartment building and walk together. Everett knows she is hungry, and they part for a few hours. He waits for her at a cafe reading Interview with a Vampire by Anne Rice. He has been reading every vampire book that he can get his hands on. This current read is quite good, unlike some of the more recent additions to the vast mythos surrounding the vampire. He is a fast reader, but the several volumes that follow this are rather intimidating. What he is hoping to find never seems to surface in the pages, and that something is an origin point, a beginning, something to elucidate Olivia's unique condition. Her frustration of not knowing how she came to be a blood-sucking creature of the night is shared by the empiricist in him. He wants to understand, and so he continues his research in hopes of something that has the distinct ring of truth. He glances up as the door opens, and it is her. Her cheeks are rosy, and her steps are jaunty and more vividly alive than many of the so-called living he sees on a day-to-day basis. Her eyes reflect the stolen vitality of some lonely soul, no longer part of the human collective. She plops down into the chair opposite from him. A subtle hint of aftershave breezes off of her, and for a moment Everett feels a wave of jealousy wash over him. "Hey," she says, smiling. "So, I have a favor to ask. Want me to kill someone?" she asks in good humor, exposing those sharp canines briefly. "Yes." He explains his involvement with Desmond Winter and the ever-increasing demand for services Everett is no longer interested in providing. He tells her that he is worried about what may happen if he should refuse to admit him. Also, there's another reason. Desmond Winter must be stopped. An obsession like his can only escalate, and before long will be hunting the living to fulfill his desires. She considers this for a second and shrugs. "Sure." He nods and tells her the details of his evil plan. "Seems easy enough," she says, as if he were telling her of his plans to rearrange his furniture or something not involving murder. "Olivia, thank you. This guy is bad, and he deserves what's coming to him." "This is true for most people. The world ends for someone every day, Everett." They check into a hotel. Not one of those big outfits, but a cozy old Victorian structure that has been retrofitted to be a hotel. Everett pays cash and leaves a phony name. The attendant is wearing one of those knowing smiles as he hands the key cards over. "Thanks for choosing the Carlisle Hotel, Mr. Jones. Have a pleasant stay." The room is small and overlooks an intersection and a church across the street. The changing streetlights cause the thin blinds to glow green, yellow, then red on a constant pattern. They hear muffled conversations from the room next to them. There is a mirror over an old dresser that they frame themselves in, looking into each other's reflections. They then make full use of the room for a couple of hours, not caring about what the paper-thin walls convey to anyone listening. The room is non-smoking. Olivia fidgets next to him as they lie next to each other. He knows she has to go soon to replenish her immortality with fresh life. He touches her cheek as she looks into her eyes. The austere white pillow glows like a halo in sharp contrast to her raven black hair. "I think I'm in love with you, Olivia. I know," she says with a languid purr, her eyes mirroring his statement. He kisses her forehead and she shudders slightly as his throat nears her lips. "I have to go, Everett," she sighs and rolls off the bed and dresses in fluid movements. She slips out into the night, leaving him alone in the room. He lays there for a while in pleasant recollection before turning his mind to the dire task at hand. He digs his phone out of his pants and sends a text to Desmond. "Everett, have one for you. D. Great. When? Everett, tomorrow, Carlisle Hotel, 6:30 p.m. D. Excellent. We'll be there. Any reason it's at a hotel? I'm curious. Everett, had to improvise. D. I see. Kudos to your dedication." He orders a pizza to celebrate. It arrives less than an hour later. He finishes reading Interview with the Vampire. He eats 2 slices and watches TV. He never watches TV. And the news program seems like so much foreign gibberish to him as they deliver images of tragedy spanning the entire world. Death, war, celebrity nincompoopery, Justin Bieber. He shuts it off, wondering what was going on with the serial murders that he himself was involved in. He thinks about the dead women with crucifixes carved into their foreheads, and how quickly these things just blow away by all the new information on a continual basis. The collective short-term memory loss of a nation. The fickle brains of the gossip mongers. The temporary and desperate condition of mortality. The ever-fucking world spinning on in the void of space. She returns a few hours before dawn, flushed and bouncing on her heels as she crosses the small room to kiss him. The ever-fucking world is so much brighter with her around, he thinks. Outside and many miles away, the sun approaches as the earth turns at about 1,000 miles per hour. Dawn is coming. Olivia yawns. Sleepy? Yeah, the sun's coming soon. I get sleepy before it rises. Want me to tuck you in? Yes, please. She giggles while removing her shoes and slides under the covers. Everett pulls the blankets up to her chin and steals one last kiss before witnessing something he's never seen before. As the pale light of morning grows, her appearance changes. The subtle motion of sleep is replaced by stone indifference. It's as if he's watching her die painlessly. And as the sun peaks above the horizon, she is completely still. The slight color in her skin drains to a pristine white marble, and her cheekbones sharpen to make her face seem cadaverous. Olivia is dead until night. Sunlight creeps along the floor and rises up the side of the bed to slowly cross the expansive blanket and finally hits her unmoving face. Everett is holding his breath, waiting for something to happen, but nothing does. In the books and movies, the skin smolders and blisters under sunlight. The vampire writhes and screams, and by sheer survival instinct, crawls into the shadows or burns to a crisp. But she does not react, which is somehow worse. What if this time, when the sun sets, she does not rise? What if that last moment they shared was indeed their last? He feels a heaviness behind his eyelids pulling him down like gravity, and yawns. His schedule has become decidedly nocturnal, and so he lies down next to her, on top of the covers, and sleeps. He wakes up a few hours later, drawing in a long hissing breath. His initial puzzlement as to where the hell he is wears off at the sight of Olivia lying next to him. Angelic and serene, unmoving and dead as a doorknob. He feels a sense of deep loss, a hint of mourning. He wants her to wake up and stretch in the afternoon air. He wants to hear her laugh, but she can do none of these things at present. He eats some cold pizza and uses the restroom to take a hot shower. He looks at himself in the mirror as he's drying himself off. The steam obscures the image a bit, but the look he's giving himself is of perfect calm, of a certainty that the events to occur in a few hours are right, and that one less monster will soon cease to exist on this ever-fucking earth. He has acquired the nasty habit of smoking cigarettes with astute coolness. He leaves the room with a do not disturb sign hanging on the knob to appease his new compulsion. It would be all manner of things that will severely ruin the day on his list of other potential catastrophes if a cleaning person were to find a dead body in the room. There's a small cafe across the street, and he passes some time there before his phone buzzes. A text from yet another number. At this point, Everett is glad he will not have to keep updating his contacts list with the constantly changing numbers attributed to Desmond Winter. D. All is prepared? Everett. Nearly. D. See you very soon, my friend. He goes over the script he has mentally prepared, and decides less is more. If an explanation is requested, then he will just say that this unfortunate girl died from alcohol poisoning while he was about to make drunken love to her. He won't have to act like a cold-hearted killer, and plus, despite loathing Mr. Winter, he can't have the man looking down his nose at him, even for a moment. He goes back to the hotel room and waits. Dusk glooms the sky, and at precisely 6:30, there is a knock at the door. Desmond is alone, and is, as usual, wearing a suit. He smells like a new car, and enters the room, entranced by what he sees. "Oh my," is all he says, and stands above Olivia like a creepy uncle, rubbing his hands together. Everett had staged her so that she is lying clothed atop the bed, her slight weight barely creasing the top cover. Her shiny wingtip boots are pointed toes up. her hands crossed over her heart as if this were an open casket viewing. Is she stiff? No, rigor has passed. She's been dead for about 16 hours. And how exactly did you come by this exquisite little thing? Not your girlfriend, I hope. The necro jokes, but Everett doesn't laugh. We met in a bar. I was just going to see her here safe. She's from out of town. She passed out and, well, she died. Right. I'm sure you were just seeing her back to her room for safety reasons. Desmond is clearly too excited to poke any holes in his story and is getting impatient for Everett to just get the hell out. So he does. Okay then, I'll be back in an hour. No, I'm going to be here all night. You may leave, Mr. Maudit. Thank you. And Cryolux thanks you for your consultation services, shall we say, thrice-fold. Very generous. Thanks. He closes the door and walks heavily down the hall, and after a few moments, sneaks back to listen to what is happening. Mr. Winter has about 10 minutes to live, and Everett can hear him murmuring to Olivia, calling her by some other name. It has 2 syllables. He can hear the squeak of the bed springs as a heavy weight bears down on it. More murmuring. A thump, followed by another thump, and some scrabbling noises. Shoes? A belt? That name again. He hears Alice or Elise. More bed squeaking. The sun's last bright influence is stifled at last by the great curved bulge of the western horizon. And a scream begins inside the room as a rapid intake of breath. But no scream happens. It is cut off suddenly by violence. A wet noise followed by dry spaghetti noodles snapping under a sodden pillow. Only silence can be heard through the walls now, and Everett slides his card key to open the door. Olivia and the dying Desmond Winter are locked into a final embrace. Desmond is bent awkwardly backwards over her lap with his neck and shoulders supported by a thin arm. His tweed socks dangling an inch from the floor. The toes inside them are curled into painful-looking fists. The rings on his fingers come loose, slide off and tumble onto the bedspread, jingling merrily. Everett closes the door softly behind him as he approaches to watch the lights go out in his eyes. Olivia's not paying any attention. She's taking her time, drinking slow. Not a single drop of blood is spilled. Desmond's eyes are wide open and staring through the ceiling, the 2 floors above, through the roof, past the moon, and visible long dead stars and into a swirling black void. Desmond Winter is dead, and Olivia tosses him off her like an afterthought. The sound of an expensive suit hitting the carpet is all that is audible. Good morning, Olivia. Her eyes are vacant and feral for a few moments, then focus on him and recognition dawns in them. That starts a chain reaction in her facial muscles to elicit a smile. Hey, you. He offers a hand in a courtly manner to help her stand, and her skin is warm. Let's check out, shall we? Yeah, she says, and they leave the Carlisle Hotel hand in hand. Journal entry dated March 7th, 2015. I was sure that was the correct floor. I waited until midnight before being asked to leave by a security guard, the lummox. They know not what they are harboring there. I did manage to douse each of the doors with holy water, and slide a bit of the host underneath as well. A true servant of evil will not be able to enter any such barrier. It may flush her out, unless another thing concerns me. She may know of my intentions and has relocated. I must continue my vigilance. Also, I have been neglecting my cleansing duties. Tonight I will atone for my derelictions. The Lord's vengeance will be dire tonight. Newspaper article dated March 12, 2015. Desmond Winter, 52, President and CEO of Cryolux and its satellite Hereafter, is considered a missing person after intensive investigation. Winter was recently in the news for some ethics disputes regarding voluntary still-living cryogenics. His customers have the option to have themselves frozen while still alive and cogent enough to sign the liability release forms in sound mind, though perhaps not sound body. This caused quite a public reaction when it surfaced. Several protests were held to rally more support to stop Cryolux from the still-living cryogenic procedure, calling it assisted suicide and murder. He was last seen at his residence by his wife and 2 daughters. They reported to the police that he was called away for an important last-minute business meeting. Foul play is suspected, but no leads have yet to turn up, according to the chief of police. "You look terrible, Ev," Glennis says while chewing on a croissant. Flakes of the buttery pastry are floating down to land on the keyboard. "Yeah, thanks. Just need some coffee. Mind if I step out for a few to get some?" "Do what you gotta do. Seems to be the norm for you these days. Kinda worried about you. You okay?" "Fine, Glennis. Better than fine, actually. Just tired. Back in a bit. Do you want anything?" "No, I'm good. Thanks, hon." He is in and out of the small independent cafe in less than 5 minutes, but he takes his time returning to cover. He is not worried about the previous night's premeditated murder of Desmond Winter, nor is he worried about Olivia's involvement. A certain fact has occurred to him. He doesn't know why he hadn't thought on it before. Perhaps it was just pure excitement of meeting the girl his wildest dreams could never conjure. It is time. He feels himself growing older by the second. His cells are right now undergoing mitosis. Each time they divide, they become more and more degraded. His hair is growing grayer, bones becoming brittle. He imagines himself as an old man, wrinkled and suffering from hearing loss and the tendency to reminisce constantly. And there's Olivia, still the same, unchanged from the years, her eyes still vibrant, looking at him with helpless pity. He can't stand it. The inevitable lies in front of his path like a vast canyon. He is on this side, and Olivia on the other. There is no way to cross, and his only choice is to try and jump, regardless of the certainty that he will fall. If not that, then what? Even if the years are kind to him, what of other causes more sudden and freakish? Car crash, aneurysm, a bad step down a flight of stairs. The list trails on. If jumping was the only chance, then he knows he has already jumped, and is falling deep into this tremendous unknown. He resents the day, as it bars him from her. He resents the night. It is never long enough. He resents the ever-fucking world and its petty concerns. Despondent and gloomy, he returns to work, at cover to cover. Glennis busies herself about the shop, giving him concerned glances from time to time. She finally bursts. "Okay, what's her name?" "Olivia." "That's it? If you're going to tell me, you will, I expect." His mood brightens a bit at her sincere concern. You ever wanted to be with someone so bad that parting is sweet sorrow? Was going to say unbearable, but yeah, same thing, I guess. "Ah." She glows at him and prepares to launch into motherly advice mode. He notices a book open somewhere near the middle and decides a change of topic is needed. "What are you reading?" "Oh, it's a wonderful book. I just started it today. It's about 2 lovers in Babylonian times. It's really good. I've never heard of the author before." It's pretty old. Leather binding, gold leaf lettering, and Gothic lettering reads, "The Gemini Curse" by Felix Twist. Forbidden love, one of my favorite themes. She clasps her hands to her chest dramatically. He picks it up and reads a few lines, and his teeth click together in shock. His muscles go weak and his face visibly pales as the paragraph unfolds, bringing to mind a certain nightmare he's been having since he met Olivia. There it is, in print, his nightmare. detailing a grim ceremony in which a god by the name of Nergal is being drawn from a celestial post that guards the realm of the underworld. A mortal body is required to bind this deity into a stone tablet that hangs in thin air above the naked sacrifice. "Can I read this when you're done, Glennis?" he says with such immediate force that she just gapes at him. "Sure, Ev. Will do." He can't take his eyes off the book, feeling a thread of fate pulling him into a sense of certainty, and below that, dread. Glennis closes it and slides it over to him. "Here, just read it fast and don't tell me how it ends. I hate it when people do that." He accepts the aged tome and stares at the cover. "Thanks, Glennis," he says without much inflection, and heads to the storeroom. "You can go home. Don't think the coffee worked, Ev." He turns on a heel, waving the book as he leaves. "Thanks again. I think I needed this." "Yeah, go get her, guy." He hurries home to read this book penned by Felix Twist, and for the first time that clarion bell of truth is ringing. Upon finishing it, as the light of day wanes, he is no closer to understanding. But he knows one thing. The Gemini curse is a clue to the shrouding mystery surrounding Olivia. Okay, Soulbound concludes next week. See you then, and good night.